What's up, everyone, and welcome back. Um, I was on my way home, y'all, and coming from work, right? And a couple of you know that I do work a little distance away from my job, which I love because it allows me to just mentally decompress, physically decompress before I transition into being at home, right? So, what came to me is we have so many various parts of ourselves. Um, And sometimes it's watered down. But if I were to come from that clinical perspective, y'all, for anybody that's new to the channel, I'm so excited that you're here. For those of you who continue to come back, I'm appreciative of you. And, I hope that you do find this video helpful. I'm Cameron. I also go by Cam, and I'm a resident in counseling, which means that I practice psychotherapy. Okay. So this clinical therapeutic approach I'm speaking of, it was developed by Richard Schwarz. Okay. And we're talking about the overall umbrella, which is internal family systems. Sometimes therapists may refer to it as IFS. But what I'm focusing on is under that umbrella, parts work. In this video, all we're going to do is just lay down that foundation, right? Lay down just what parts work really means. Explore how to begin to check in and see which part of yourselves, right? What parts do you hold? Identifying these parts, possibly naming them, right? All right, y'all. So we're going to go through all of the various parts. But first, I want to tell you what it means when I say parts. I'm not talking literally parts of yourself. No, it's more, like metaphorically speaking, right? These parts are just different aspects of self, okay? And so they may hold a lot of various emotions. They hold these feelings and thoughts and emotions from past experiences, i.e., maybe trauma. Okay. So, just to give you the foundation and a brief definition of what parts work is. All right, let's get to it. If you remember in another video, we explored the inner child. Um, I really am hopeful that a lot of you have listened to that video, can be so beneficial for us all. Yes, the inner child is one aspect of the parts. Now, this inner child, we're talking about from the ages of birth to about young adult, 21 maybe, right? This inner child can hold happy feelings, happy experiences, happy memories. But guess what? It also can hold some unpleasant memories, um, some traumatic experiences, some disturbing experiences, okay? All right. So I'm really hoping that you are understanding just what I mean by that, even when I say, inner child. So that's the first part, right? Now, what if I was to continue on and I say the next part are these exiles? Think about exiles and just what we mean by that when we say someone is exiled, right? Think about that for a moment. Think about how you may define and describe exiles. Yeah, okay. So go back to the inner child. These exiles are these memories, all right, that you guessed it, we have suppressed so long. These experiences that we have just begin to push down and almost hide away. As I've always told you, when these memories, experiences, traumatic events are suppressed, something happens once we become adults, once the brain has fully developed is able to fully process, and it begins to leak out because you trying to keep it pushed down, trying to suppress that thing, acting like it's not there, trying to use avoidance, but it's not really working anymore, right? So that first part, inner child, right? Second part, exiles. Hope this is starting to really come together for you, y'all, and what we're dealing with. Managers. Managers are actually our protective parts, y'all. They are the protective part of ourselves that is activated to protect us when those exiles are triggered. Just listen to what I'm saying. We talked about these exiles being the ones that kind of suppress. That's the part that suppresses everything, kind of tries to act like it didn't happen. But then we get triggered by something. That manager part is going to step up because the brain, the body, all of it works together, even without us consciously, trying to make it do so. So that manager part is the one that is going to protect you when we feel triggered, right? When those exiles are triggered, all right? It may present in that fight, flight, freeze response. We talked about that. It's a way to try to help you maintain your control, right? Self-discipline, maybe. It's a big protective part for you. And it can look so different for a lot of us, right? Because also that protector part can come with other aspects, not just for our safety and our control. It can actually mask itself. That's the way it's going to protect you. So then you find those who may be overachievers. That's how it comes out. You may find those who may be perfectionists. Remember, we talked about personality disorders and the symptoms and traits that we observe. Is that not the manager part of them that is acting as a protector? Something to think about. All right, y'all, let's get through this. Then we have the firefighters. That firefighter goes beyond the manager, right? That firefighter, when our reactive parts of ourselves just become totally like a glitch. I've talked about the nervous system and how the adrenaline and all of these things just almost go wonky for a minute, right? That firefighter is going to come. And that firefighter is going to rise up in us. The problem with that firefighter is that part of you is going to be more impulsive, because that means all of these feelings, the part of you, exile part, that holds those deep-seated emotions, thoughts, experiences, traumas, have become so overwhelming. We can't tolerate it. We can't handle it. And so the firefighter says, all right, manager, I got you. I don't think you can protect them. Let me do my job. That is when you see those who act impulsively. They are just going to respond, whether it be through substance use, self-harming, suicidal ideation, assaulting someone, anything like that. It's all just impulsive. They have become so overwhelmed. Maybe binge eating can also be another one. Yeah. It's amazing how these parts work. So just keep in mind what we went through. And then we have one last one. First one was inner child. Second one we talked about was exile, right? The exile part. The third one was managers. The fourth is that firefighter. And the last, guess what it is? It's ourself, the core self. It's who we currently, the shell we currently walk around in. The goal of understanding your parts is to not so much act like they're not there, because that's what gets us to these places anyway, is avoidance, suppression, right? Not having accountability, whatever. But being able to acknowledge them, acknowledging what aspect and how many areas of your life that they affect, right? So that way you can begin to connect them, almost like, in harmony, if you will. And we're going to talk about that later on. We're going to go deep into this thing, y'all. So that way your current self, your core self, can become more balanced, meaning that you truly can be in the present because you're not being managed by a protective part. You're not being managed by the inner child. You're not constantly reacting due to that firefighter part. You no longer are walking in the exile part that avoids and ignores that which is, but you've now become more balanced. I truly hope that, us just examining these parts of ourselves has been found to be quite beneficial. I'm excited about the work we're about to do together. And as always, peace and blessings to you. I hope that you have a wonderful night. Bye.